All right. Good morning and welcome to the Bowyer podcast. This is your host, Matthew Morris. I apologize if the audio is not great on this one, y'all. Lately I've been traveling a lot for my grown-up job. So I'm here with a makeshift laptop and some corded Apple headphones, which I think the young engineers I work with make fun of me for having headphones that still have a cord. And if I had it my way, my phone would still have buttons, but it just doesn't work that way. So a couple of events coming up. I've talked about it lately. So Compton Traditional Bow Hunters Rendezvous is coming up the 18th to 21 June. I'll be there at the Compton booth with a lot of great humans, but there are just so many people that come to the Rendezvous. So make sure you check that out. There's also great events like the Tennessee Classic coming up and ETAR this summer, but also pay attention to your local state shoots. We've talked about this a lot. Lowering the barrier to entry, it can be daunting to take up a new mode of hunting or just getting into the hunting field or archery field in general. I've had really great welcoming encounters with the local, state, or regional level trad clubs. The one I go to out here when I can is Barefoot Traditional Archers in Burlington, North Carolina. They've got shoots, I think, the last weekend of every month. Great guys. But anywhere you go, if you're trying to get into this, don't do it just via YouTube and watching some social media. Get in there, find a group of guys and gals that can take you under the wing and give you some tutelage. And I promise you, it's going to be a lot more enjoyable. Make sure you give our show partners some love. This episode is brought to you by Safari Tough. We've had Randy Cooley on a couple of times. He's a great guy. You can use discount code BOWYERPOD10 for any arrows. I also just want to talk to you about how good these guys are. And this isn't really a product pitch. It's just why I've wanted to work with Danny and Randy over the last year or so. They're just good humans. So here recently, one of my pastor friends locally, he works with some inner city kids, and he has this religious, I think it's technically a homeschool, private school anyways. And there are a lot of young men in this program, about 10 or 12 of them. And this is kind of their last ditch effort. Like they've had problems in schools in the past and things of that nature, or single moms just trying to raise a son and trying to get a young man in the midst of some masculinity and a good example. So they've come into this program too. And my buddy, Pastor Victor, reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, Matthew, I'd love it if you could teach one of these kids to shoot." And you guys know, I'm a very mediocre shot, right? So I have no business teaching anybody how to shoot. So, but anyways, came over, realized that he had signed up for a local archery shoot, and it was 3 days away. This young man's never shot in his life. So I gave him a bow, some arrows. We spent like an hour shooting. And then he came back and he's basically said, "I want to do this. So I want to continue doing this." He took dead last in this archery shoot. Well, I reached out to some friends in Compton and just some local archery folks or local trad folks. And I've got 4 bows in my house. Now, they're all like 15, 20-year-old bows, but they were donated to give to the kids at this school. So that's one to highlight how amazing the traditional bow hunting community is and how generous they are, right? But also I reached out to Randy and I told him what was going on. And he sent me like 4 or 5 dozen tie pans that I'll put together and give to these kids too. So he didn't even hesitate when I brought the topic up with him. So support good humans that are doing good things is, I guess, short story long there. All right. So I've got an awesome guest here, somebody that I think a lot of us that have, followed any sort of social media or YouTube or anything else for really like the last decade or so. This guy in my mind has probably helped put trad bows in more hands than anybody in the last decade because he gets out there, he puts in the work, and without a lot of accolades, gets it done in the field. More often than not. Also, somebody that will answer about any question you ever have that you want to ask, no matter how elementary or advanced that is. So I wanted to have Aron Snyder on the podcast for a while, and I finally got the gumption to reach out to him. And Aron, good morning, man. Thanks for joining me on here.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me on. It worked out good. My life is a bit hectic over the last few months in a good way. So it's good to sit down and just BS.
That's good, man. I'm glad. I'm at this like super nerd conference right now, so it's good to start off my day with with a normal conversation than a bunch of people in suits. So it's great. So man, I mean, we don't have to dive in deep into an Aron Snyder 101 because I think a lot of folks know you by now. But if you give us a little intro, and then you really kind of, what compelled you, you were such a prolific compound hunter and archer, and then you decided to pick up the stick bow a while ago, and you go back and forth, which I think is awesome because it kind of removes the elitism that we can have in our sport sometimes. I akin traditional bow hunters to fly fishermen sometime, where you've got to do it a certain way. And I love the open mindedness that you and others open to this craft and this sport and this method of take. So yeah, I'm going to quit my monologue here and let you start talking.
Yeah, well, Aron Snyder, I'm the director for Born Primitive Outdoor, and then head or chief designer. That's in clothing, backpacks. I say that my partner in crime, Kurt Gamachet, does as much or more than I do. I have a podcast, the Born Primitive Outdoor podcast. I do a lot of survival training, land navigation, a lot of training just for hunting in general, long range rifle shooting, traditional archery, compound. And then, yeah, I look into photography. I do a lot of that. You can see that on social media. And I do a lot of seminars and events, things like that. Yeah, I mean, as far as getting into the stick bow goes, I mean, in full transparency, I made fun of stick bow shooters most of my life, right? And I don't know, it's probably 2015. I can't remember. I was in an archery range, and I was shooting like 100 maybe or 120 at like a Reinhardt 18-1, and a stick bow guy came down and was telling me I was extremely unethical. And then he went back to the bale and was like missing the target at 20 and 30 yards. And I'm like, what, whatever. And we got into a conversation, and it was just about animals can move at certain distances. And anyway, so I just ran a bunch of numbers, and I did a podcast and probably talked a lot of shit on that. And then I got a bunch of emails about, even though, God forbid you bring math into the equation of anything, math is one thing that's always true. So anyway, it provoked me. I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to sell all my compounds and shoot a stick bow and see what this is about and see if, there's any merit to all of the crap talking, and just kind of immersed myself in it and fell in love with it. And then there was 1 year for a little bit, I think maybe 16, I hunted with it all year. 17, I hunted a little compound, and then 18, 19, 20, for several years after that, I shot just a stick. And then the last 3 years, maybe, I've hunted with a compound. Last year, I actually shot quite a bit with a rifle just because of my schedule. But for whatever the way my brain works, I've been traveling a lot over the last few months, and I was listening to the Fredbear Chronicles or his field notes. I found I think I can only find it on iTunes. Anyway, I was listening to that, and I've had I've got bows laying around all over. So whenever it was, I ordered a Widow, several months ago, with the idea I would just screw around with it and maybe hunt. And then recently, I had a Hoyt Satori set up, and was like, I'm just going to hunt with a stick bow this year. And so just started shooting. The Widow came in yesterday. I put that together. And definitely, I'm lucky in Wyoming because I can hunt all of archery season. And when rifle kicks off, if I want to, I can just grab a rifle, which is nice because I do eat, 500-600 pounds of meat a year pretty easily. But yeah, I mean, I do, through this whole, try to be as politically correct as I can. There was a lot of people that followed me recently because I'm shooting a stick bow again that had unfollowed me, I think, at one point in time, which I thought was kind of weird.
It's strange.
It is very strange. And then, there was times I was supposed to speak for a certain, traditional bow hunting organization, and it was right when I was shooting both, and I had just called them and I said, look, if it's going to hurt your guys' feelings or members, right, I just won't speak. It's not, I'm doing this to, help you guys. I'm not stressing out over it. But there is a lot of contention when guys go back and forth, right? There's a lot of purists, and I don't get too wrapped up in it anymore. I don't. I mean, it's what it is. I'm going to do what I want to do. I do think that if you want to be a traditional archer and a purist and just shoot traditional, I think that's what you should do. I think that if you want to dive back and forth, I think archery. The good thing about it is it's all what you want and what you want to make of it. And I think that we lose some potential for people to shoot a stick bow because of maybe some of the people in the realm that talk crap a lot.
It is. I think, outside influence should not dictate your method of take, right? I just picked up the stick, I think 4 years ago, Aaron. So I'm still fairly like green to it. And I shoot a lot of self bows that I make. I shoot long bows, shoot recurves. And I love my handmade Osage self bows that I made myself. But I also really love this triple weave carbon made by Centaur Archery that I'm shooting right now too. It's also beautiful. So I think the important thing is, right, not let outside influence dictate what you're doing, as long as it's legal and ethical. Enjoy the journey. For me personally, I always loved bow hunting since I was a teenager, but I didn't necessarily love archery. When I picked up a stick bow, I started also loving archery, just shooting for the therapeutic reasons, being outside, shooting with my kids, all that good stuff. But I also think that anybody that's spending time in the outdoors is doing good. It's rather than playing video games and sitting on the couch and all that good stuff. Not to disparage those folks, but that's not really
No, yeah, it's good to much better to. I had a conversation about that with we talk about youth recently, and a kid had lied to his mom about. I think they were asking me for advice that he had lied about a football practice that he had to go to, but he didn't have to go to, but he wanted to play so bad that he lied and then tried to find a ride home, but then he got caught. And, the mom was talking to me about this, and I was like, yeah, if I had a kid that lied to play sports more, I would maybe look inside myself. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I'm not saying that a kid should lie, but I was like, if that kid has the drive, determination to stay at a practice when he shouldn't have to go because of his love for that sport, I think that maybe, look at rearranging your schedule so he can have a ride or play, or maybe if he's lying to you, I mean, it's no different than relationships. If he's lying, there's a reason that he lied. And if he wants to play that bad, and I think, when you look at certain, I mean, how many closet compound shooters there are shooting a stick bow, how many, vice versa, because they're going to get made fun of. And, on my end, I mean, I talk a lot of shit, so I got pretty thick skin. So I've done enough, this will sound, I'm sure, arrogant, but I've done enough with a gun, a recurve, and a compound. I mean, what are you going to say, right? Like, oh, he picked up a compound because he sucked with a stick bow. Well, I mean, I did okay with a stick, and or if he's picking up a trad bow because he wants more publicity, or that's what I've heard recently, or I don't know. But the thing is if you're paying attention to me to just talk crap, you probably should look inside yourself a bit, and maybe just focus on you and what makes you happy, not what makes you unhappy. And I'm the same, a lot of professional and personal growth over the last decade or two. And if I'm online looking for reasons to complain, I probably have some psychological issues, right? I mean, occasionally something pops up and I'm like, oh, come on. I'm not saying that. But if you're truly just looking for reasons to complain, maybe you should go shoot your bow and not worry about what's going on with stuff like that. It's not really life or world altering that I just picked up a stick bow again, but some of the screenshots I get of texts and things like that, I'm like, man, you guys must be bored. Like, holy cow, I don't have time. Like, I'm
was
trying to run
that was going to be my comments. Like, I have no time for that, man. Life is too busy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, and all of us are guilty of being naysayers, and I mean, in and out of the sporting domain. But a lot of times when you're finding yourself to be most negative about other people, it's also because you've got an internal crisis, right? So I think that's an important
Oh
note.
yeah, and again, that personal growth, including me, like it's human nature. It's hard not to, but I mean, I don't. The biggest thing is for whatever your decision to be, whether it's to pick up a stick bow or to get a divorce or break up with your girlfriend or be a better dad, the end result should be you to be happier. I mean, that's the whole idea is you need to make these decisions for the right reasons. And in the end, it should make for a better family, you as a person better, happier or whatever. And so if you're constantly unhappy and you're looking for reasons to complain, it's generally probably because your life may suck and you're looking at someone else in hopes to make you feel better or a reason to complain. Or I'm not a psychologist, but I have my I have friends that are therapists, and I'll have them kind of watch some of this stuff, and it's pretty crazy, specifically men, that you could do probably a decade long study in social behavior just in traditional archery. And I don't talk about traditional archery, the people shooting the bow, the old school, the new school, the whatever. I mean, it's pretty crazy how, I mean, I get a kick out of it. It's like people watching in Boulder, Colorado. I could sit there all day.
And I'm in the Springs right now, and it's not nearly as radical as Boulder, but it's quite interesting, right? Around here. Well, man,
Well,
I think we could
you,
stick on that topic forever, but it'll probably bore our listeners. Um, like, so
yeah.
you're now right. Like, you've got this one that new widow is beautiful, and I love the color and everything else. And but I'm not a super gearhead, and I know you are. Have you always been, just into the, I guess, optimizing your kit and testing things out and all that
Well,
stuff?
yeah, I mean, definitely except when I was poor, because it's hard to optimize your kit when you're broke.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
the
is kind
army
of,
surplus is pretty a frequent visit during those years.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, I've written articles about that, but like one of the things that got me into the gear stuff is there were so many people, um, again, everything's changed, especially with social media, including marketing. So, way back was print ads, and then you have, the different half page, full page ads. You still have that now. And, then it was TV and forums and everything else. And so people that make their living in the outdoors do have to take sponsors, consume money to make a living. And I get that. And sometimes, while you're trying to make a living, you may pick up a sponsor that you maybe wouldn't prefer because you need the money. I get that, but when you're looking at a blue collar guy, which I was I mean, I'm still blue collar, but working construction, kids, family, whatever, that money that you spend is vital that you get a good piece of gear. And so I was finding, as I was diving into gear and getting better at what I did or whatever else, that a lot of the things that were promoted were maybe fabricated of their quality or consistency. And so I kind of went from there. But yeah, once I started doing that, I mean, I didn't know, I barely graduated high school. I was raised in a mobile home. I didn't know I had a knack for designing, I had no idea. So as time went on, I was able to, obviously now I design anything from broadheads to boots. That I kind of had a knack for that aspect of it. And as I say that, I don't have a degree in like industrial engineering or design, but meaning from my experience in the field and thinking outside of the box, generally that gear side of me certainly takes over. And it's weird because it's kind of dichotomy. I also am the guy that is plain Jane. Once you get one piece of gear, you should stick with that piece and quit jacking around, right? Like once you get a good arrow flight, you should probably buy 4 dozen and shut off the internet and
Hmm.
just shoot that arrow, right? I mean,
Right.
it gets really. I made a funny video. We haven't posted it, but Jerry and I did it. Jerry's like my brother. He does all my podcast stuff and whatever, artwork and everything. But I went to full draw and I was like making crazy eye movements, and I had a voiceover that said, what it sounds like in a new traditional archer's head when he gets off YouTube. And It's confusing, right? I mean, you've got so many different experts, and then all people that maybe aren't experts giving advice, and so I'm one of the abilities I have is to like just get rid of all that and do what I feel is best. There's a lot there, from gear to the fletching. James Yates, I don't know if you know James. He's more of a compound rifle guy. Did the most in-depth study in arrow flight known to man. Then you have Bill with Iron Will doing them. You have Trad Lab, right? Cody Greenwood, he does tons of studies.
Super
And
data nerd. Yeah.
oh yeah, yeah. And Cody's like one of my best friends, great guy, right? But you have all of these different studies and thought processes, and reality is how many animals go back compound days died with a thunderhead or a muzzy four blade, and how many animals died with 3-5 inch feathers or whatever. So it really doesn't matter what I say or what Matt says or James Yates or Iron Will or whoever. I mean, it matters to a certain degree. What matters most is what you're comfortable with, and getting to a point where you have enough knowledge behind you to write your own book, right? Of what you like. If you look at my form's not great. It's not great. It hit what I'm aiming at. But you certainly don't want to take coaching from me on form. Once I find something that works pretty well, I'll use it. And there's always dabbling. But if you're just getting started, you might get a migraine in the first 45 minutes of watching YouTube. If you don't have somebody to hop under their wing like I had, it can be complicating, especially because of the gear.
Yeah, it is. And everybody's got an opinion, whether it's warranted. I mean, everybody's warranted to an opinion, right? But
Yeah, maybe.
these might not be warranted. So,
well, I take a good example. I ordered your bow, a Centaur 2-piece with the dark matter. What do they call the material?
Yeah, dark matter, I think. Yeah,
dark matter, longbow. One of the most beautiful bows I've ever seen. Couldn't shoot it for shit. I almost felt bad because he gave me a deal. Guy's great guy, short little dude, bald head. Yeah. But I couldn't hit anything with it. But I never say anything negative about that bow because I know a lot of people that love that bow. So what good would it be for me to say anything about that bow other than give it a try, great quality, beautiful bow? But just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it's bad. I don't get along with a longbow as well. And I was learning, right? And, with the Widow, for example, I believe Widow is one of the best, if not the best, recurves out there.
I shot a
Wingard.
I love it. They're awesome humans too. And now that the Bailey squared are out there too, so it just makes it cooler. So yeah.
She's funny. I've been pestering her recently, getting me photos of the bow. But there's good mojo's a huge thing. When I say that, meaning, I'm not an overly superstitious person, but some of my greatest adventures in animals I've taken were with a Widow. And then you look at the family, they're amazing people over there, all of them. But this, I don't know, that mule deer there, it's not a giant deer, but it's at 9 years old. That was one of those 12 days in the field, didn't get it done, went back out, came back in, ended up in the cliffs, 40-some degree angle. That was with a Widow. So could does Trent Wingard make an amazing bow? I would say Trent's right there in the top.
Yeah,
you might wait 7 years to get the bow, but with that Widow, performance-wise, with the carbon limbs, is there something? Could you get Uka limbs and put it on an ILF riser, get a little bit more speed? But with the Widow, I've got good mojo. So that thing's just lucky, right? Yesterday, 3 shots, I had a bullet hole. It looks good. I know I can beat the shit out of it. But the gear side, string silencers, string material, Flemish, endless loop. You shoot off a springy. If you do, you're the devil, right? There's all kinds of stuff that's gear-wise. And I just get to the point, to answer long-winded, whatever is best for me, highest performing that I'm confident in, whatever that is what I end up with. And, in my case, that's a springy rest. Wingard makes it. G10, I'm a huge fan of G10. So that's G10 brown and green. And then I like the carbon limbs, performance-wise, everything else. String material, I just got a new string from Gas Bow Strings. He has a new material out that ended up being as good as he told me it would be. I was, as far as, speed in the field. Yeah, the gear thing, I mean, if you're into it, you can spend a small fortune testing gear and figure out, what works.
No doubt, no doubt. I think it's always intriguing, right? But it's easy to get, I guess, paralysis through analysis with gear
You
stuff.
should see some of the emails I get. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Arrow, I'm not overly intelligent when it comes to like, um, you know, you're probably never going to see me do another PowerPoint unless I actually have to, right? Unless it's very
Yeah.
vital. But, there's guys that'll send me amazing, very thorough arrow builds, and there'll be 7 of them. And it's like, well, which one should I shoot? And I'm like, whatever's on sale. I don't know. I mean, all those are good, right? I mean, I'm not
Which
sure.
one's hitting the target?
Yeah. I'm probably more of a basic, you know, whatever person when it comes to that. Like arrow wise, I was either going to shoot Randy's arrows, Safari Tufts arrows, or the Easton 204 Legacies, and so Easton sent me some Legacies and 340s. I cut them to the length I thought they should be at. I knew I would shoot 225 to 250 up front. I wanted a 35 to 38 yard point on. I wanted to be around 175 to 185 speed with all of that, and I wanted my arrow to weigh over 550 grains. I can do all that from home, right? I can get pretty close with that, and then after that, it's tuning, which I'm going to do a video on today. But is that Legacy the most high performance shaft made? No, it's certainly not. Could I shoot a micro, have less wind drift? Could I shoot 3-inch trad vanes or a different feather? I mean, there's a lot of things I could do, but the bottom line is comfortable with that, and yeah, exactly. And they don't break, and I don't hit the target every time. Very important.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I think that's why I shoot. That's why I shoot like the tie pans and with all the collars and everything else. Because as I said, nobody has any business trying to take any archery lessons from me.
Yeah, and I shot the Taipans before they're out. Randy and I are very close. Randy's one of the greatest humans you could ever beat, and I was shooting those with my compound for testing for Randy out to like 140 yards, and I got a 150 yard range, and because he was asking about compound, I'm like, yeah, dude, they're solid. I mean, they'll work, and then I may end up shooting. Randy shoots a lot lighter arrow than I do.
He does, yeah.
And I just had him on my podcast talking about that, and how can you argue with Randy, right? He's killed everything, right? I mean, he's
or like Denny and Marie, they're all close friends, right? Like they all shoot fairly light stuff.
Yeah.
They kill a lot of stuff, so you can't really argue with them, right?
Yeah, now I've hunted with them both. Denny and Marie are also same thing. Nicest humans on earth. Yeah, and so it's what you're comfortable with, right? And that comfort may not be on animals on the ground, but the hope is that you're comfortable enough with your setup and confident in it that when you do start shooting animals that everything transitions. Otherwise, it's never the Indian's fault, right? Everybody blames the bow, right? So somebody makes a bad shot immediately. It's usually not I should go practice. It's probably more of I should add a wider broadhead or whatever. And I don't really fall into that too much. Just I guide so much too. Like very rarely do I ever see it can be a mechanical failure, but generally it's the operator making the mistake.
Yeah, I think the people that are making the gear that I shoot are way more proficient and well versed than I am. So I don't have enough hubris in my body to blame them. I just kind of know it's my fault. But again, I'm very average. Man, so you do, right? You still guide for like Top of Texas and some of those guys. I know you've been.
I haven't been able to get down there. I guided in BC there for a few years, for a couple months every year, and then for stone sheep and mountain goat. And then this last year, I had total intentions. First time really hunting Wyoming because I wasn't in BC. Scouted a ton for elk. Bad year, got our butts. I mean, I could have shot some small bulls and cows, but with a bow. But in October, I was planning on hunting, but my local outfitter, who's a friend of mine, he got bucked off and broke his back and ribs, and
oh man,
tore his shoulder up or whatever. So I ended up staying, pretty much the entire month in October guiding elk hunters. And then I helped him out in August for bighorn sheep here. And I'll probably do the same thing this year. Often, I'll guide for him. I like guiding. I certainly don't do it for money. I'm technically probably losing a couple $100 a day when I'm guiding, but I like being out there. So, but I, here and there guide. But it's not something I do for money. I do it because I like, it's a way to extend your own season, do cool stuff, help people out.
It really is. And the stewardship of that is awesome, right? Because sometimes those are, folks that have never done a guide hunt before, and they've saved up for the last 5 years to finally be able to afford it and do this cool thing and have a seasoned guide to come and help them. I mean, and when it comes together, that's pure dadgum magic, right? Like when you see somebody else get a good animal. There are a few things more gratifying than I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I mean, you teach them along the way, like they can learn stuff while they're out there. I ended up one of the widest bull I've ever seen last year was it was a rifle, but Bill, super good guys from Nantucket, believe it or not, and not exactly the pinnacle of fitness. So I'm like, look, we just got to get up there, man. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We just got to get there. And ended up shooting an amazing bull. It was, just great trip, fun, snow, crazy weather. That was probably my favorite hunt of last year. I didn't, when my elk right, he shot it. So that was pretty wild. I did shoot a big bear last year. That was pretty cool. One of the largest bear I've ever. It doesn't even look normal. It's so big. But, that was with a bow. But if I had to pick between those two hunts, it would have been watching him shoot that bull compared to me shooting that bear. So,
where was that bear at?
In Wyoming.
Was it in BC? Was it Wyoming or yeah?
Yeah, Wyoming. I haven't went up. I'm supposed to go up this June to BC with Bart Lancaster, is a friend of mine. But we'll see if I make that trip. I've got backpacks that are coming out with BP. That's consumed my life for a while as far as getting everything dialed in with that. So I've definitely not been out in the field as much as I like fishing and backpacking. I've gotten to go a good amount. I'm not going to complain, but not as much as normal. But I am going to hunt here for bear, in Wyoming for sure.
Right on. Well, let's talk about I guess it's a good pivot point. Is and then we'll dive into Born Primitive some, but what is your personal hunting season looking like here for 2026?
So for sure, bear. I got to think about this. There's a lot. So bear in Wyoming, and then antelope in South Dakota, antelope in Colorado, mule deer in Wyoming, elk in Wyoming, mule deer. Did I say mule deer in South Dakota? Aoudad, whitetail in Oklahoma and Texas, bear maybe in BC. I'm forgetting some stuff in there, but yeah, pretty busy. Nothing. Yeah, nothing like crazy extravagant as far as like I don't get too, I like mountain goat hunting, so when I can go on one of those, I like to. But the only thing I really have left personally that I want to shoot is a brown bear. I've shot pretty much everything else that I want to shoot. So probably the most one I'm bringing a crew out from Born Primitive, and we're going to horse pack in with my local outfitter, and we're going to do a real far deep into the wilderness elk hunt. And then my buddy Chris Horn and I, we're also going to hunt before that starts, and I'll have the recurve. But I've got a mule deer hunt in Wyoming that I'm really excited about the first week of September. So,
right on. Well, it sounds like a full itinerary, man. I hope that many of them are fruitful for you and your hunting partners.
Yeah, that's one. I've been lucky. Very rarely do I not get something, but I'm also very lucky and blessed with time, right? I obviously the knowledge has built up over the years, but it's also just straight time. Like, when you can go on 14 hunts and you shoot 14 animals, yep, that's great. But I also get to go on 14 hunts, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so it's,
Yeah. You're
you
not
know,
exactly a weekend warrior these days, right?
y-
So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get to do it a lot, and you learn a lot every time you go. And that's everything. Like whether you're guiding or hunting, you're learning gear, the fitness level, caloric intake. I mean, really, when you break it down, like macro to micro, I say that a lot, or micro to macro. You know, what you learn is really what you choose to, right? So when you really want to learn, you're learning basically like, okay, what's my beats per minute on my heart rate before I'm running into borrowed time. Like how long can I stay at 170 beats per minute before I bonk? What caloric intake do I need, and what macro, or basically how much fat, carbs, protein do I need to sustain? How much water do I have to take in a day? The gear stuff. How much weight can I handle? Where can I cut here and there? And then archery side, you're talking like just stick bow alone, right? You've got to practice. I mean, man, I learned so much. Like, okay, I got to be able to shoot instinctive close up, and then I gap shoot past that. I got to learn angles. I got to learn, when I say angles, not just downhill angle, meaning straight down, but also steep right, steep left. Where do I aim? Because I can't, and that changes things. What can I get away with as far as the demeanor of the animal, as far as getting, what I can get away with, and then once you're successful, I mean, the party just got started then. Like, how long can I keep, how do I break down the animal? How do I debone? As far, caping out the face, all of those things,
this
full
is all
body
done
mount.
through repetitions, right? It's not, I mean, you can watch all the videos you want, but getting the reps in is what builds all of that foundation of all the things you discussed.
Yeah. And when you've done that, 1,000 times, you become second nature. You almost take it for granted, because I have to remember when I'm teaching, or doing a tech video or anything, that I have to remember at times things that I take for granted that I really, other people are just learning. And so even like doing a full body mount or a shoulder mount, how to do that correctly, right? I don't even think about it. I hardly do videos on it. I just whip through it. But, and then getting the animal out, how much weight can you carry, for how many trips, right? And then how to keep the meat, basically cooled off, tricks of the trade for that. That's not tying, or is huge, when it comes to that. And then with the meat care, like people don't understand, like you can keep the meat pretty easy 5 days in the field if you know what you're doing. But a lot of times bringing like a turkey or a thermometer to check your basically your heat, of the internal side of the meat, things like that. So there's a lot to it. As you, I mean, it's a lot. So I'm gonna let my dog out real quick. Little Pegger
Yeah, go
was
ahead.
wanting to go outside. Hold on, Pegger. Oh, okay. Come on. I've got a bunch of dogs, but I got a new blue heeler puppy. He's a handful. So
I
yeah, I
got
mean,
and he's after about 2 years old, he turned out to be a really great dog. But man, as a puppy, he was a full on tyrant.
that's funny. Yeah, this one's actually been pretty good so far. The but yeah, like I said, there's so much to learn when it comes into that. But either way, that's kind of my season right now. But bear will be. Oh, I'm gonna backpack in with a buddy, early May. I'm not gonna hunt. I'm just gonna help him out, for bear, and then I'll start hunting. Directly after that. So
That'd be good, man. I I know you do a lot of predator hunting, and I've man, I've not got a giant bull, right? I've never gotten it. I've only got one bull elk, um, and one cow, and I live out east now. I live in North Carolina, so opportunities are a little bit less so than they were when I was living here in Colorado. But bears, man, bears have my heart a little bit. I love bear hunting nowadays, and
yeah,
uh, I did a hound hunt with a recurve last year, and that was really awesome. Doing that again this year. Heading up to Alaska next month to do some spring bear hunting. And you did a hound lion hunt with a trad bow as well, right?
Yeah. I did. That was actually a pretty special trip. So I actually did like the slam. So I shot a bobcat, lynx, lion, and a wolf in a 4 day trip. The wolf I did kill with, I don't even know what gun it was. I just grabbed it out of the back of the truck as it
Yeah,
was running off. But yeah, the lion, lynx, and bobcat.
that's that is special. Yeah, that's really cool. And that was up in Canada then, eh?
Yeah, that was with Bart Lancaster. And in reality, like the Bart and the dogs do all the work. The only one
Yeah.
that was really the bobcat shot was difficult. When I say that, it was like I got there, it was like 36 yards way because the trees were so tall. It was on a cut
Mhm.
bank, and there was like multiple branches in the way, and I'm like shifting back and forth. But in reality, the dogs do all the
They
work
do.
on those
Yeah, I mean,
trips.
you put in miles, but like as far as woodsmanship, right? That's all. The onus is on the dogs, but it's also beautiful to watch. I mean, I think watching dogs work is a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah, I shot up. Bart and I've hunted all over the world together. We guide together too. I shot that lion. That lion was giant. But I've shot mountain goat, and I killed a black bear with Bart that was charging, and I shot it like at 6 yards and
oh,
threw and just rigged it up. It was and he big black hat Bart, whatever he was giggling. He pretty hard to get Bart spun up on it. He stays pretty calm, but yeah, no, I did. That was a few years ago, and then I shot a wolverine when I was in the Chugach Mountains. I actually ended up putting my goat tag on that. I don't think too many people have done that from what everybody was telling me, shooting a wolverine with a recurve. But really, I mean, that part doesn't matter that much. But the whole thing was pretty
Still pretty
crazy, and I
cool.
shot it close. Like real close, and a horrible storm. It was pissing like it's Chugach. It rains all the time. So yeah.
Oh, it's also kind of like, oh well, is the storm going to let up and let me chase goats still, or well, I can take advantage of this opportunity with wolverines.
Well, man, we were sitting up. I thought they were wolves at first because the fog was going through, and then saw them, and I was like, you have to be, where was that? You got to be guided. And I asked the guide, and I felt bad for the guide because I'd been on more goat hunts than he had, and I came from my house at the time was at 10,000 feet. He lives at sea level and he doesn't train. I train all the time, so like I felt bad on the hike in because it was like I was like get a headache from too much oxygen. But when we had gotten up there and I was like, hey, can I because I knew the Alaska laws, but I want to double check. I was like, can I put my goat tag on the Wolverines? So we got on my sat phone and confirmed it was good, but then they left. And then just kind of was like, well, it wasn't meant to be. And then started glassing for goats. They came back out, and man, I don't know what the stock, like we dropped in from 800,000 yards away. And I mean, I think my first shot was sub 10 yards. And then I hit it again at 45 running with an
Oh
arrow
wow,
through it. So yeah. Yeah, it was pretty wild.
man, that's pretty epic. You need to start. I know you write articles and stuff, Aaron. You do the podcast thing. You need to start. You need to have like a field your own field notes version someday.
Yeah. I've been working on a book. I'm on chapter 86, which I have been for about a month because I haven't had time to keep going. So the funny thing, I use Chat GPT for the book because I'm horrible. I need a ghostwriter is what I need. So I checked into it because I didn't want I wanted it to be from me. So I did a lot of research and it was like, well, no, if you're writing a book about your life story and your adventures, then ChatGPT is just going to clean that up. If you're writing a fictional book, it may grab things from other books or whatever. And so I didn't know. So when I started doing it, yeah, I mean, it just makes me not sound stupid. It's great. I
Yeah. Are
just
you
talk
able?
to
Are,
it.
are you talking? Are you doing it verbal and trying to
Oh
tell a
yeah, she
story?
talks back. She's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, tells me, oh, that's
Using
a way to
chat as a
grab
support.
the. Yeah, yeah. She very motivational lady. She's
Yeah.
that's a powerful introduction. Yeah, she.
Yes. It's like, oh, great. That's what I was going for. Powerful.
Yeah, yeah,
All
exactly.
right, man. So you've made a transition in some of your professional trajectory as of late. I guess not super recent, but Born Primitive. I mean, they've been around for quite a while, but they've really grown with one, they had the performance line for sports and strength and conditioning, fitness, and all that stuff. They had military line, sporting, military Leo, um, and then this outdoor line, right? For for the outdoor sportsmen and women. Uh, what's going on there? What's new? What are you guys working on? Uh, yeah,
Yeah. So
the floor is open.
how that started was I teach different things to the military, and one of the guys in one of my classes, his brother, who's now the president of Born Primitive, said, "Hey, they've been looking at starting an outdoor line." Well, anyway, so we started talking, and then we had, decided, because I was working for Kafaru at the time, that I would kind of try to do both, and then kind of partner up as far as that went. And then that didn't obviously pan out, but once that started, there was the initial designs, and fast forward to November of last year. Um, there was just, everybody was going different directions, I guess you could say. And so I had decided to leave Kafaru to go work for BP. And, we've almost quadrupled in size since that time, which has been great. So, on my end, obviously, Kurt and I do the design. So when I say that, all the new products, we come up with them, test them, tweak them, everything else. And then the backpack thing just started coming to fruition, to where we were like, yep, let's just do this. And I had talked with the owner and founder, Bear Hanlon, and I was like, hey, look, this is the amount of money I'm going to need, but I want the cuffs off. I want to be able to do everything I've ever wanted to do.
Innovate,
Um,
right?
yeah, yeah, and I mean that's the thing. I didn't want to just come out with another pack that whatever. I mean, and don't get me wrong, a lot of other companies have copied things I've done, or Patrick Smith or whoever, but I wanted to be innovative. I wanted to show that there is some legs left in the end. There are new things that you can come out with. There are things that you can certainly advance, and I don't want to say evolve, but innovate. And so doing that, though, is a bit of a pain in the butt, right? Because you're looking at fabrics that are newer and technology that's newer, and then also just testing theories that I thought would work, but until you have it in front of you. So obviously, there's been a lot of testing lately. But so yeah, the Born Primitive Outdoors growing a lot. We're coming out with new stuff all the time, which is great. The backpack should be out in July, or at least for pre-sale in July, and that definitely is going to be a lot of innovative things that people haven't seen before. I'm excited about that. And then I have Born Primitive, we have a zero drop, kind of a mountain hunting boot coming out. When I say zero drop, it's basically a beefed up moccasin, zero drop. Just look for, if people are wondering, barefoot type shoes. We got that coming
Kind
out.
of like a wide toe box, and kind of that style.
Yeah, yeah. And then that's the one thing I wanted to work on, was narrowing down that wide toe box when needed. So when you're going downhill with heavy weight, you don't lose all your
And
toes.
they just slide.
Um,
Yeah, you're peeling off your toenails, right?
yeah, yeah. So that's what you get, black toe pretty easy. So that was kind of the premise of the first. I mean, we have several coming out, but that's the premise of the first design. So yeah, I mean, all of that's going on at one time. So that's a lot to handle. And I mean, I have a great team, so that helps a lot. And it certainly takes a village, because without the team I had, it would not be happening for sure.
Man. Let's take a couple steps back, if you don't mind. So, you came aboard. You've obviously been, you're well steeped in the industry. You already had a relationship with Bear and team, and then you're like, hey, I want to do this pack thing, right? And I want to be able to have a lot of autonomy to build it. Um, that takes a lot of trust, right? Because to go from the ground up, I spent the last several years, working with like startup organizations, things of that nature in the aerospace field, and uh, there's a lot of upfront costs and burden, right? When you want to build something new and truly innovate from novel materials, novel concepts. So, I mean, how did some of that work, and just I guess behind the curtain a little bit, work? Because that takes a lot of trust in you for Bear and the executive team to have that trust in you to build that thing.
Yeah, I mean, how it worked is they didn't bother me at all. They don't even know what's going on half the time. They do now, once it started to, I mean, he literally gave me full autonomy. He's just like, I just want to win, make it the best. And I'm like, I mean, that was literally, he was like, just crush it. Don't, that's all I want is to win. Like, I want you to be
That's
better.
that's good SEAL talk, you know. Like
Yeah,
just
yeah, exactly.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
care like the middle, so just like the end goal, like the win, right? The X is
yeah,
good.
yep. And so there for probably, I don't know, several months, it was just me and Kurt, and our industrial designer dude, Andrew. And then once it started to where like, okay, now I have to involve everyone with, obviously we have to pay people for prototype material and fabrics. And, obviously then once we are getting closer to getting it on the website there, now everybody's integrated. But for the first 5 months, I don't even think they knew anything. I didn't say any. I mean, I didn't
The
really
vacuum
report.
of your guys' minds, right?
Yeah, I would just say going great. I didn't. They had full trust in me, and I mean, obviously still do. It's just now, when you got a company that's whatever multiple millions of dollar company that does so many different things under the umbrella. The one thing now that I'm a lot happier about is I have a merchandising agent. I have everything that now, other than getting myself into trouble, not giving them the info because I forget that I need to, I have all this support behind me, which is great, right? So,
You got a
you
full
know,
toolbox of humans now, so that's good.
yeah, so I go to like Melissa, who's in charge of all products, and I say, okay, we're going to have 6 backpacks on the launch, 1 frame, shoulder strap, whatever. And I'll say, but I'm also looking at doing this, and I'll just send out that projected, 24-month cycle of I want to come out with this, this, and this on these dates. So she knows that also the funds coming out that's going to take, and then also, obviously that gets planned into the marketing timeline, the R&D and testing timeline, and everything else. So once I do that and get approval, they pretty much leave me alone until we get closer to like, hey, dickhead, are you going to be ready? So we can get all the marketing and the website and everything ready.
Minimum viable product, is that going to be good to go? We're going to meet the deadline. We're
Yeah.
going to do the thing. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So, and I mean, as you know, like there's a lot to it. But I'm very confident that we will, take over the backpacking side of the outdoor industry pretty quickly. When I say take over, I think that we will have the most innovative, comfortable backpack on the market the moment it hits the market. So
I'm excited, man. So is this your first release of a backpack? Is this going to be a multi-day, meat hauling pack? I mean,
there'll be
whatever you
several.
divulge, what is that
Yeah,
first like?
there'll be several.
Okay,
There'll be a little bit of everything.
right on. And then so you're going to have like these boots are coming out, kind of a moccasin style and a few different varieties. As far as apparel and things of that nature goes, right? I think that Born Primitive has been continuously updating. Um, you know, I,
Yeah,
I'm a
clothing.
flannel nerd. I think I have every one of the flannels right now that I use. But,
Yeah, you don't have to iron them. It's great. You can just throw them on
it's
your
all,
bed.
no, there's two in my bag right now. Like I'm traveling and I take off my jacket from this nerd conference of the day and I go get a cocktail with a friend with my flannel and boots. So it works out. They don't really get wrinkled up. They stretch, but also some puffy gear and things of that nature, right? And I think that they're doing really great things. I also just so me and I know you're a veteran too, Aaron, from the Army side of the house, and I came from the Marine Corps a million years ago. Um, the stuff that Bear does, and I don't know him personally, right? Like I think though what they do for veterans, debt forgiveness and all of these things is something that I think is, man, it's beyond what many companies do or are willing to do, despite having the capacity to do so.
Yeah,
And that's I think one of the big things. Like I personally am happy to vote with my dollar. I mean,
yeah.
and these days,
Well,
I think that's probably the best way to vote because we routinely get disappointed all the time otherwise. But you can shape the environment a little bit by voting with your dollar. And the fact that this company is doing such great things again for the veteran community, for Gold Star
and
families,
Ba-
all that stuff.
Bear has one of the greatest marketing minds, and what he's able to do is blend that marketing mind into not just benefiting himself. Obviously, that's the company, but that marketing mind into benefiting veterans. So yeah, we donate a lot to the Gold Star program, which is basically, widows of, military. Yep. And then the forgiving of the debt, that started, that was Bear's idea. And then now everyone's involved in that. I mean, I don't know what we paid yet, $58 million in medical debt last year, something like that. But yeah, Bear's, you almost have to tone Bear down. Like that dude's he's a madman. Great dude, and just a wild man. And he gets going, and again, at an annoying level, he doesn't stop. Right? It's like, Bear, chill. Like, what, you know what I mean? He, in a good way. So like that's kind of what Bear handles now. A lot of is, Tony is the president and has kind of taken over. Well, him and Claire and Melissa and others, but Bear and Mao, the founders, they've kind of taken a step back to really, in Bear's case, to be the face of that, and generating and organizing a lot of these different campaigns for veterans, which is great. And Bear's awesome. I won't hear from Bear for like 3 months, and he'll message me, "You good? Need anything from me, man? How are things going? Whatever." And so not. Never once have Bear and I had one issue the entire time, I've been there, and he's never shown me anything but full support. And he'll tell me,
a lot,
like,
right? When you've got like two A-type personalities in a room, like
yeah,
that is a big deal. And I think a lot of people don't recognize or realize that, but the fact that highlights the fact that you guys have is that mutual trust in each other as professionals, but also as fellow humans.
oh yeah. And I mean, we've talked. In fact, I think a week ago, I said, Bear, I'm sure at some point you and I are probably going to end up getting in a giant knockdown, drag out fight. But the good thing that I know is on Monday, it'll be fine. Because truly, like, both of our hearts are in the right place. We're both trying to build a company, both trying to help veterans. And so I don't think that will ever happen, but like, truly, there's no doubt in my mind, like, anything that I come to the table with, he's paying attention, right? Like, I don't bother him when I don't need to. I don't talk to him about issues unless there's an issue. And so him knowing that of me and me knowing that of him makes a great partnership, because like I said, when I even expanding on things I can't talk about yet, as far as different lines, it was like, tell me the dollar amount and get going, just win. Like, that's his all the time, dude, just crush it. Right. And we're the fastest growing, division at Born Primitive Outdoor is. Definitely not the biggest, but the fastest growing, right? So when you have that behind you, obviously you get some, not slack or leeway, but confidence and trust as things are going well. So I can't say enough about all the people over there. It's been great.
Yeah, man, good teams and work culture is what keeps people there. I mean, paychecks are also really nice, right? But I think, yeah, man, that's what keeps people.
Well, I think that's weird for them too, because I think they keep waiting for me to ask for something crazy, and I'm like, look, guys, I'm low key. Like, I just want to play with my dogs and go kill shit. I don't really get to, I think one of them asked me once, like, what's my end goal? And I was like, to be left alone. And they're like, what? And I was like, at some point in time, want to retire and hide from everyone and go play with my dogs on the front porch and, whatever.
Personal and professional autonomy is the big marker of freedom, right? Well, man, I know we both probably have to get to our day jobs. So one, I mean, there's so many more things to talk about and love to have you on another time. Especially, like with your photography and again, you kind of talked about, you said it for a second there early on, is like, you didn't consider yourself as like this big innovator. And I think a lot of folks, especially like in the military side or where else, we don't realize we're creatives. And sometimes that creative side is pushed down a little bit. But you also,
especially Marines, because you have to be creative because you guys don't get shit for funding.
Yeah. It's
get all the Navy's hand-me-downs,
and we're out there. We're basically making stuff out of sticks and mud most of the time,
yeah.
Right? Or stuff that we tactically acquire from somebody else.
Yeah.
Which is that happens. But that being said, like, you are a creative, man, with the stuff that you're doing professionally and from this innovative aspect, right? With textiles and Born Primitive, and that you did with Kifaru and all of these things, forums, the writing, but your photography is also really special. And I just want to let you know, like, I think that's really awesome, because like you've got this alpha type personality, and that's not saying you're a dick, right? It's like but you are a driven, very focused person. And a lot of times the creative aspect of people, that you don't get both, right? You get kind of one or the other sometimes, and you've got the appreciation for the out of doors and conservation, all these things, but you also take really beautiful photography, you tell good stories, but you also, want to go shoot things and kill stuff. And I think it just highlights that, like society tries to put us in a box, and society kind of sucks. So
I've definitely heard like multiple people say, friends of mine, like Cooling and other people, like, I get asked more about you. Like, what's he like? Probably because I have resting bitch face. That doesn't help.
well, I
And
got the
so,
middle forehead thing going, wrinkles too here,
yeah.
so it's you'll hurt the scowl all the time.
But I'm introverted. So like in large groups of people, I have trouble looking people in the eyes, and whatever, I've gotten used to it. But like overall, my biggest thing is I just want to help people be happier and be better. And when I say that, if you want to hunt in pink underwear with a spear, I mean, I can't help you with that, right? But I mean, I just want people to make themselves better, not just with outdoors, right? Just in general, and have better and happier lives, because it sucks not waking up and being happy every day. And I've been there too. So
We've all been
that's the
broken
biggest
toys at
thing.
some point, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What do you? We're all dented cans.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing, is I just want to try to help people be better, and I'm fortunate enough to be in a position that I can do that. So it's been a fun ride.
Right on, man. Well, thanks for sharing it all. All right, brother, man, where can people find you between your socials and the podcast and everything else?
So the on YouTube, Born Primitive Outdoor. The podcast is the Born Primitive Outdoor podcast. I can't get on Facebook, oddly enough, even though it posts to Facebook. So if you don't see me responding there, it's because I can't get on my own page. But Instagram is just Aron, Aron Snyder, Snyder. Got a lot of my photography there. And then, yeah, I mean, I pop up on podcasts and stuff, other people's all the time. So.
And it's the Born Primitive podcast, right?
Is it Born Primitive? Yeah, Born Primitive podcast, Born Primitive Outdoor podcast.
There we go. And if it's not exactly that, I'll look it up and I'll put the show notes.
Cool. Yeah, I should probably know that. That's what Jerry's for. That's how Jerry helps me. He also makes sure and edits out anything stupid of the podcast.
Yeah, what I used to say when I was in uniform all the time is words is hard,
Yeah, words is. I don't read good.